Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reach Out podcast. This is your host, Juan Pablo Borges, and as always, I want to thank you all for tuning in once again. Hope you're having an amazing day, and make sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and make sure to share this with everyone that you know on Instagram so we can reach a larger audience with this program. So, with that said, let me tell you that I'm really excited for this episode. We're not only going to be talking about a very useful topic, but we have an amazing guest joining us today. So without further ado, Juliette Prot, welcome to the Reach Out podcast, and how's it going today?
Good morning, Juan. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. Very excited to be with you today and have the opportunity to share some of my knowledge.
I'm very happy that you're here, Juliette. Thank you for being here. And it is truly amazing whenever I get the chance to have people that I know in the podcast. For those of you who don't know, I'm still interning at Slumberjay or SLB, and Juliette is one of the managers there. So it was always on my radar to have her in the podcast just because how her attitude is an advocate to everything that I stand for in the podcast. So I'm very excited to get this going. Juliette, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you grew up, your school years, and your profession?
Sure. So I'm French, first of all. So I grew up in the Paris region, and I have a master degree in engineering, specialized in aeronautics. Did my early career in aeronautics, and then for family reason moved abroad, and had to reinvent my career. So I've been working in different industry. I've been working so I started in automotive. I went to aeronautic, as I just mentioned, and when we moved to the Middle East, I started to work in both aluminium industry, power station, power generation, and lately I've been with SLB now, so oil and gas, energy industry, for the past 10 years. So I have about 18, 17 years of experience, out of which I have been touching about 5 to 6 different industry. So, as I mentioned, I'm a mechanical engineer, yet very early stages I realized that this wasn't really for me. R&D wasn't really my thing. I was more inclined to work on the business side of the company, and more importantly on the operation. So I've been in planning and supply chain all about for almost all my career, working in manufacturing, in field, in operations, so touching all the different jobs you can think of when it comes to planning and supply chain.
That is truly amazing. I was able to do a little bit more research about your career, and there's a lot of variety. And I also think it was really cool that you were able to work in the Middle East, and now here with Slumberjay, which is pretty cool if you ask me. But going into the topic, today we're going to be talking about leveraging your network. This is one of those topics that applies to pretty much everyone, regardless of your major or your profession. And also, for as long as I can remember during my summer internship, you, Juliette, were one of the managers who was always advocating for us to network and asking questions and get to know people within the organization. So, knowing that you've been with SLB for 10 years now, how has building and cultivating your network allowed you to be successful in your career?
So it's a very important topic, and to your point, very close to my heart. So how I'm gonna step back because not only has it helped me to grow my career in SLB, but it has helped me to grow my career overall. So I think it's very important to understand that, especially in an SLB organization, it's a huge company, and we have a lot of people moving very often. Okay, so we have a rotation, so you know about it now. We are rotating about every 2 years. So people are moving, and they are not always. You will not always see the same one in different in your work environment. So having a strong network, taking the time to go and know people, ask questions, really allows you to not only understand better your organization, but make sure that people knows you and can think of you when it comes to some opportunities through the line. The other very important aspect of networking is, first of all, when we do networking, I think I need to specify one thing. When we talk about leveraging your network, it's not only about putting yourself out there to get something, but it's also being ready to give back something. So when we talk about networking, you are building a relationship, which is a two-way relationship with people, where you will give at some point, and they will give you back at another point. So coming back to your question about how did that help me in my career in SLB, it helped me in two ways. First of all, it helped me on my day-to-day work because it allowed me to understand who could help me be performant in my job by being able to know to reach out to people to get answers and support me in some of my challenges. But it also helped me in growing in my career by ensuring people knew me, thought of me, and were able to come to me to ask for advice when they needed to. So it's really for you today and for you tomorrow.
Definitely. I think that is very important and worth highlighting because it is often forgotten that it is a two-way street, you know? And sometimes, especially the young folks listening to the podcast, they always hear about networking and they always think, okay, networking is going to get me to my first job. Networking is going to get me to my first internship, you know? So it's like this very broad concept. And I would say, touching on that, Juliette, whenever it's a two-way street, especially for the young people, what are some ways that you feel they would be able to give back to those helping them?
You would be surprised. First of all, I don't think there is one recipe. It would be too easy to say how they can give back. The people they are reaching out will know how they can give back. You know, when you network, you don't network only up. You network also down. For example, I am today a manager, but there is a lot of things that I don't know. I don't know everything, and I'm reaching out to my peers who are more hands-on, who are the one more doing the things on a daily basis, to teach me or to help me fix some issue that I don't understand because I'm not doing it every day. So that would be a good example of how when you reach up asking for some support, you can also give back within your own context as of today. So as I mentioned, it's not a one fit for all, but the reality is that they will know what they can get. It can be a personal advice, it can be a professional advice about a specific thing they need to fix and they don't have the knowledge. It can be many things. What is important is that we need to be very clear that a relationship, a network relationship, is not only you asking for something, you need to be opened up to share and give back. And share and give back is not only quantitative, it's also qualitative and, you know, ideas, opinion, feedback. It's not only about doing something.
Right. No, you're very right about that. And the reason why I'm asking that and really like good segue to my next question is because, as you may already assume, the big demographic for this podcast is the college students, people that just graduated from college, and they always vary in their own world, focused on getting that first position in the company that they want, you know? So it's a very big roller coaster of emotions, especially when they don't get like that position or that first internship. So
Yeah.
considering that, as you mentioned, is the building of relationships, and that is ultimately a skill. You know, networking is a skill that requires time and patience. What advice would you give to those who feel unmotivated whenever they don't get that like first results that they want?
Keep going. So I'll give you a story, and I think it's a story I usually give, and it's a personal experience, which really demonstrates how relation and contact is critical. So I'm going to tell you of how I get hired to SLB. So back in 2007, 2008, I was looking to change company. I wasn't really. I was done with the company. I was still working for them, but I was looking for a new challenge, and I started to look for a job, like a student look for an internship. And obviously, you send your CV, you go on network, you reach out to people. Long story short, Schlumberger received my CV through three different pathways. And one guy had my CV on his desk through three different pathways. And he reached out to me saying, listen, I don't have anything for you, but I received your CV three times. I need to meet you. And we had a meeting. And obviously I put the effort, the work, and the dynamic that I would if he had a job for me. Very important. Huh? You always come prepared. But I knew nothing would come out of it. So fine, I find another job. I grew in the other company. 18 months later, I get a call from someone I know, my network, telling me, Juliette, your name came out last night. The person you met 2 years ago told that you are the person they need for a job. And that's how I got in. They called me back 2 years later, obviously different conversation, different mindset, but they never forget the first appointment we had, which was a non-event because they knew they didn't have anything. But they hired me 2 years later, or they went back to me to hunt me 2 years later because he didn't forget about me and what I could give him. So for me, it's a very live event or demonstration of the fact that it's not because it doesn't work today that it cannot work tomorrow. And whatever you do, you need to do it with the same level of energy and dedication than if it was for today. And it will pay back. Because it will stick your impression, the impression you will give to the people will stick to their mind, and they will keep you they will keep you in their record and in their, how you say that, index? I don't know how you say it in English, for later. Again, it's very hard to find people. It's very hard to find good profile, and if you are able to make an impact, it will not be unnoticed. It might not work at the first because there is a context, you don't really fit for the job, there is no job, it's not the right timing, but you don't forget about it, and people usually will keep you in mind for later.
That is a great story, and there's a lot of learnings that I know a lot of my peers and students can learn from this. Definitely, what you mentioned about the first impressions lasting forever, it's something that always you have to keep in mind. And also something I really like that you mentioned is always putting the energy towards everything, regardless of whether it is for today or for tomorrow, or whether it is or it isn't at all. So I would say that is very important, especially for the young demographic, because I can see a trend of people focusing on just certain aspects of recruitment rather than others, So I would see how they're very, what's the word? Motivational, and also they just reach for the stars on everything that they do. The best companies, the best positions, the best salaries. So it is very easy to just give a shadow to the other opportunities. So as for your story, they called you and you knowing that they didn't have any positions for you open, but you still went and gave your 100% and came prepared and everything, regardless of whether you were going to get hired at that moment or not. But you could have also just went because, I'm just going to go, don't come prepared, or just regular interview and don't stick a really good impression, give you 100%. And it would have been a totally different story. I would have never met you, Juliette.
Exactly. And no, but you're spot on. And that's why, by the way, the important thing is this guy could have spoke to someone else. So it's all about and understanding that people talk and people will be your advocate. You always want people to be your advocate. So you want to make sure you are presenting well and giving your best shot, and you don't look like, okay, I'm coming but I don't give a damn. I know you don't have anything. So, and that's true in every relation, in every communication. Again, I don't want to overstate it because we need to remain natural. I would say that I'm a person that is fairly true to herself. Mm-hmm. I'm not making an image of myself. So when I do network, I'm me. I'm not playing another role. So it's very important to be true. But yet, you need to understand that whatever you say and the way you present will be the image that people remember of you. Sorry.
100%. 100%.
And that goes back to, you know, the network. When I met that guy, obviously, I knew that even though he might not have something for me now, first of all, he can potentially pass the word that I'm looking for something. And if not, as we've seen, think of me for later.
100%. Yes, you're very right about that. And moving on, I want to touch on the idea of quality versus quantity, Juliet. So we often are very focused on the numbers, on how many people do we have on our LinkedIn, how many followers, and all that goes like around that idea. Would you agree that having a small but very proactive and personable network is better than having a very large network of people that you barely know? Yes or no, and why?
I would agree in principle. I think the more you grow, the bigger the network will be, with the remaining quality. And I think when you talked about when you say when we talk about quality versus quantity, it's also about being mindful. When you are reaching out to someone and starting a relationship with someone, you need to be mindful of what this relationship can bring to you.
Yes,
What do I mean by that is having people in your network for the sake of having people in your network. What's the point? What's the point, honestly? So you need to understand why. The why is important. And to your point, if you have too many, first of all, you're gonna just look as a bee, which go and touch everything. So it doesn't. I'm not sure it gives the right image. And moreover, you will not have the time to get the essence and get some output, which is knowledge. We are learning from our network, so we are aiming to go and reach out to people who are doing different things, so you can learn from them. Advocation, mentorship, promotion, and so on and so forth. So if you don't have time to go for those things because you have too many, you're going to miss out the point. And it becomes just a number you are able to demonstrate on LinkedIn, but doesn't help you to grow personally and professionally.
100%. I would say something very cool that you touched on was the impression of having that very, very large and like not obnoxious, but just extremely large network. You look, as you mentioned, like a bee, just trying to get everyone just connected and everyone just like um, give you like the time of day. And I think that is often overlooked, you know, whenever you're like, especially right now, what I've seen is just people just trying to connect with anyone that they cross their paths with, you know, and it could be like from wherever part of the world, whatever industry, whatever job, is like, as long as I have you as another like addition to my number, you're in. And I don't think that's the best way to go, especially as you mentioned right now, because having like those like that group of people that you know is gonna stick for the future and for your career that makes sense is the best choice. And um, I'm sure that that is also one of the approaches that you might have taken in the past, like to get to the point that you are right now. Am I correct?
No, you're correct, and I think it's also very natural. You need to be, I think, one of the. So, I'm not. First, you need to be comfortable with networking, which comes with time. Not everybody is comfortable putting themselves out there, reaching to people, asking questions, creating the relationship. A lot of people are introverts, so it is by nature. It's not the same for everyone, and I am not. I'm not the biggest outgoing. I learned, but yet I wasn't at the beginning. So by nature, you will go and reach to people where you really believe it can bring something to you, or you can bring something to them. By the way, let's be clear: it's a two-way relationship. It is not only you getting something out of it. Um, so, so yeah, I think it's important to realize that you will not always. How can I say that? I'm losing a bit my line of thought here, but when you are networking, taking the time to do it properly is very important. And understanding that it's a real effort for you and for the person in front of you is very important too. So from there, you will, by nature, start to choose who you're doing it with. And
Definitely.
again, it's not natural for everybody. So it will require for some of us to really go the extra mile to make it happen. So if you have to make the extra mile, make sure you do it with the right person.
That's a good advice. Because right off the bat, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of effort to get yourself out there, as you mentioned. So if you apply all that effort to the wrong person, it's not going to look very good for you in the future. But as we had mentioned before, it's a skill, you know?
Yeah, but to that point, Juan, is that we are talking about networking, we are talking about reaching to the right person. For that to happen, it means that you also understand what it is that you're aiming for. So you have a plan. And by having a plan, you will be more efficient on leveraging your network. I'm not talking about building your network, because we need to be careful. There is two different things. There is building your network, which is you're young, and it applies very much to the college people we are talking to today. When you're starting, you're going to start by building your network. Start to have more and more people who knows you, and with whom you have a relationship, and later on you will start to leverage your network, which is okay. Now that we know each other and we have started to be in touch with each other for some time, how can you help me? How can you teach me? How can I help you? What can I bring for you? And that comes later. So those are two very different things that we need to keep in mind when it comes to network. And yeah, that's what I wanted to clarify on this angle.
I think that's very important that you did, just because it is very easy to get them mixed up. And I think that is a great way of going about it once you're a little bit older, cultivating that network that you started off years behind. And
Yeah.
so I think that's a great point. And
Yeah.
Juliet, with all that we have mentioned, focusing on our younger audience, what just tips do you think they should keep in mind whenever they're looking to truly leverage the network towards success in the early years of their career?
I would say, it's a hard one because there is many things we could discuss, but I would say just get out there, first of all. Get out there and don't be shy. Would be my first advice. It's a basic advice, but go and get yourself out there, talk to people, ask questions, be curious, and speak up on what you're trying to reach, what you're trying to achieve. That will, for me, I believe it's the best way to get the attention from the others and to make a mark on people's mind. To be curious, get out there, reach out to people, and be clear on what you are aiming for.
Definitely. Definitely. I feel like that is a great advice. Just doing it and not overthinking it, I think is a.
With a purpose, you need to be clear on your purpose. So it's important that you're when I say speak up on what you want to do, it's a purpose. You need to go to people with a purpose. Being to just know them, it can be just listen. Who are you? You're here. You're in my office. No, I often, and it's true at any age. You get to the coffee machine, university. You get to I don't know. You reach an amphitheater, or I don't know how it works in the US. So maybe I'm completely off. But you get into your classroom and you don't know the person next to you. Say hello, introduce yourself, ask questions. Who are you? What are you doing? Why are you here? What are you aiming for? And you share. And again, this is networking. This is okay. I understand, and I know that tomorrow, if I need something on this particular topic, I can reach out to you because I understand what you're aiming for, and you understand what I'm aiming for. So we know how later on we can potentially support each other, and why I would be reaching out to you if I need to. So this is being mindful of why do I need to network, and speak up on what is it that you are personally aiming for. Now, if you talk to a potential, I'm doing some career fair this week, and my advice to to the student is when you reach to those career fair, if you want to be noticed, be clear on what you want to do. Be able to express, take the time we know, we talk about the elevator speech.
Yes.
And if you guys don't know about it, please Google it and take some time to understand it. And I would strongly advise that when you reach those career fairs, those network events, you have an elevator speech ready for you to be noticed and get out of the pack. So that's the purpose. You need to have a purpose.
And I think that also goes along with what you mentioned about planning ahead, having a plan whenever
Yes.
it comes to networking.
And the
Uh,
plan can change. But yeah.
yes, that is true as well. Moving on into the last part of this interview, Juliette, I want to ask you my two questions that I ask all the guests. The first one is the time machine question. So, assuming that you would have a time machine and you go back to go in front of your 20-year-old self, you have 20-year-old Juliette in front of you, what would you say to her?
Um, in fact, I wasn't the best at school, so I would say work more. But I I would say be yourself. I will be more mindful on that because I think what really have served me in my life is to be very clear with who I am and what I want.
That is great. That is great. I love that answer, honestly. And I want to ask you the final question, which is my favorite question. Is Juliette, what makes you happy?
My family makes me happy. My family and friends. I'm a person people or people person. So no, waking up with my daughters at home, you know, making them making a joke, having a nice meal with my friend. This is what makes me happy. My family, I'm from a big family, so I'm all about my relationship with my beloved.
That is truly beautiful. I think that uh, all this and all this program and whatnot is also with the purpose of having a healthy relationship with those around you and being grateful to the ones around you, regardless of whether it's your family, your friends, your co-workers. So once again, Juliette, I want to thank you so much for being in the Reach Out podcast. I love this episode, and I'm sure that all the listeners also loved it because you have a lot of experience and a lot to talk about this topic. And um, I'm very excited to see like where you're going next because I get to see you in the office, and it's also really cool to see you work, see all the planning and supply chain managers work. And I'm truly lucky to be part of the team, at least for these few months. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Juan. And again, we are somehow networking with people out there, so take that as an opportunity. Thanks for having me. It's a great opportunity for me to share my knowledge. Hopefully, it can help someone. And I hope there will be more. And I hope you will stay longer with us in your co-op.
Absolutely, that's the plan. That's the plan. But for now, I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode. Uh, uh, Make sure to check us out on every platform I already mentioned. And yeah, just have a great day. See you on the next one. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.